Hi everyone and welcome to Geordie Pride, Voices from the Northeast. Before we get into today's chat, a quick heads up. Our lovely friend of the pod, Holly Matthews, is bringing her Be Weird Live event to Newcastle and I've got a little treat. We are running a giveaway for 2 tickets over on our Instagram, so if you head over to @Geordie Pride, you can enter there. If you look for the post, it's got lots of bright colours and a little Holly Matthews on it. It's got all the details there. So if you fancy a day of inspiration, great company and lots of energy, then this is definitely a one for you. Right, on to this week's episode. With this one, we sit down with Christina Lord, who is a Northeast native who has swapped the high-pressure world of marketing and branding for life as an energy leadership coach. Now, Christina talks a little bit about what that is and what she does, but basically she helps busy professionals burn bright without burning out. And a lot of that comes from her own experience of burnout and recovery from her corporate career. We talk about the rise of burnout, why mental health needs everyday tools and not just good intentions, which I think I've been guilty of throwing at it for quite a while, and how constant tech, news, notifications and all that jazz really push our nervous systems to the limit. We get really honest about the chaos that many people in the world at the moment are really juggling and how to meet yourself where you're at rather than trying to white knuckle through it, which is something that I'm also very guilty of. Christina also talks about great practical ways to manage your energy, from simple breath work that you can use at your desk, and she gives us some examples, to other small little habits to reconnect your mind and body. So you will come away from this episode with lots of little ideas that you can try. So as usual, grab yourself a cuppa and settle in for this lovely episode with Christina Lord. And as I've been recording this, you've probably heard my little baby screaming. So since we're talking about trying to do 100 things at once, yes, that's my baby in the background wanting my attention. So yes, I'll be off to tend to her now. Don't worry, I've not left her by herself. She's with her big sisters. But yeah, enjoy the episode and talk to you soon. Bye. You're listening to Geordie Pride, Voices from the Northeast. I'm Hayley, and alongside my cousin Angela, we're thrilled to bring you the stories that share the heart and soul of the northeast of England. Each episode, we'll dive into the lives of extraordinary Geordies and those who call the northeast home, exploring their journeys and celebrating their achievements. From the time to the teas, from the arts to the sports fields, we're here to share the tales of passion, resilience, and of course, Geordie Pride. So whether you're from Whitley Bay or Washington, Gateshead or Gisborough, or you're just fascinated by the spirit of the Northeast, join us as we natter with the best the Northeast has to offer. Hi Christina, welcome to Geordie Pride. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Loving to be here and can't wait to have the conversation.
Oh yes, I'm sure we've got lots to chat about. But do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in the Northeast and whereabouts you're from?
Absolutely. So originally from Sunderland, don't hold that against me. I now live north of the river, so proper coasty now. So Cullercoats I currently live in. So Cullercoats Bay is my local swimming pool. So yeah, which we can talk about. But yes, been here a few years. So like I say, originally from the northeast, but kind of moved away, lived in Yorkshire for a long time. So if you pick up a Yorkshire twang, I lived in Huddersfield for quite
Don't know who would move to Yorkshire.
I know, Yorkshire. We can talk about that. So yes, I had a little bit of a Yorkshire twang for a while, and then don't worry, I've strengthened. I've come back and strengthened the northeast accent. But yeah, so travelled a bit, moved away, and then as normally happens in the northeast, it's like the umbilical cord, like snaps you back. So yeah, it was just before kind of COVID hit actually that I came back to the northeast. So yeah, it's been a few years back in the homeland. But as for what I do, so I'm an energy leadership coach. What the hell does that mean? I basically help. busy professionals burn bright without burning out. It comes from personal experience. So I worked in the marketing ad agency kind of land, branding, packaging design for a long time, and had a few burnouts, try to do all the things, please all the people. And so retrained about 8 years ago in coaching while I was away from the Northeast. And yeah, it's just the way that life unfolds. You end up following just what feels right. And so, yeah, I'm basically on a bit of a mission to rewrite the resilience rule book. So it's to just come away from like white knuckling your way through challenging times and actually give yourself a bit of grace and space just to be able to make sure that, your tank is full up so that you're not flying around on fumes. That's what I help people do.
That sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
We were literally just having this conversation before you came on, because just saying, how are you doing? And I was like, Angela, I'm just non-stop. I'm like, as soon as I get up, and it's like till I go to bed, like it's just non-stop. It's just bonkers, isn't it? So yeah, I think things like that are very much needed. Like I was in corporate a few years ago, and I ended up, I'm very open about my mental health. I've had mental health struggles for many years, but when I was in corporate, I ended up having a breakdown during that, and I ultimately left it. I quit, and I'm self-employed now for that reason, so I can try to manage my life a lot better, my energy a lot better. However, it doesn't necessarily work like that. I think sometimes it can be more of a challenge. I see a lot of people around me struggling with this in general. I would call it a modern day epidemic, really, isn't it? It's like, yeah, I mean, you're blinkered a little bit when you're little, aren't you? But I can't remember seeing as many people struggle mentally when I was a young girl. Like now, it's so prevalent, and people are just struggling with everything. Obviously, I'm in the female circle, and I'm around a lot of women and a lot of women business owners as well. And I think because we've went from that transition of not being just the homemakers, where the homemakers looking after the kids, we're running businesses, we're full-time jobs, like there's a lot. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's really, really important to have people like you to manage and help us with stuff like that. Like it's just absolutely chaos at the moment.
Yeah.
Resonates with so many people. So, Christina, how do you actually help then? How does this kind of work out in a work situation? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, no, great question. I think it sadly is a bit of an epidemic, if I'm honest. So I essentially go into a lot of corporate businesses, do a lot of group work, but also one-to-one coaching. So part of it is about education and awareness, because like you said, Hayley, certainly when I had my burnout, when I had my mental health just went all shades of wrong. My kind of first real burnout was 2010. And that's when my professional life and my personal life kind of collided, as sometimes happens. And as we normally do, right? Especially, I swear, being from the Northeast, you're just kind of like, well, I can do it. Bring it on. And you just power your way through, right? But I think it's that knowledge of being able to kind of I'm a firm believer in practical tools. It's all very well listening to, God, there's some brilliant podcasts out there on mental health. There's some great books, but I know for myself that self-help can become shelf-help, because you read it and then you put it on the shelf and you don't do anything.
Yeah.
I think I'm the same. Yeah. So a lot of the time, and it's funny actually, and one thing we can talk about as well, I think the reason why we're seeing an increase in pressure, busyness, is yes, technology has exploded over the last few years, which is brilliant in lots of ways, but I think the rate of change, like across the board, and the amount of social media, the amount of the increasing amount of channels that we can tap into is like mind-boggling. I don't think our physiology, like this bit of kit, was designed to take in the amount of stuff we take in. Certainly our central nervous system, which drives all of this, I think can become very overstimulated. And so really what I come in with is, one, meet people where they're at. Because I think sometimes, I know I did, I thought I was losing the plot. Like I thought I was broken, there was something wrong with me. And actually, I think we just put far too many expectations on ourselves. And especially, I know for me, both in 2010 and then actually more recently, because I had my dad pass away in 2022, you know, my whole focus became him, and I inadvertently dropped off some of my kind of core needs. And so a lot of in corporate settings, but also in personal settings, it's really for somebody to hold a mirror up in a non-judgmental way, in a compassionately curious way, and acknowledge you can't do everything all at once. It's impossible. So I kind of start there with the awareness of, you know, if you've got that amount of capacity, don't expect to do all of that when you're battling, you know, something specific that is quite challenging for you. So that's kind of the beginnings of it. It's the education piece. So that could look like a workshop, a talk, you know, a training program, one-to-one coaching conversations. And as we can go on and talk about, breathwork in the last few years I've added in, because that is a game changer.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, because I'm a massage therapist, Christina, and the amount of clients that I see come through the door, I would probably say at least 80% of those clients that I see on a daily basis are all saying the same thing. I have doctors, I have nurses, I've got office workers, I've got cleaners, I've got all walks of life, and they're literally all on their knees. Doesn't matter what they're doing. It just seems to have been since COVID. Perhaps, I don't know. It's just everyone's just literally just on a treadmill, on a treadmill, on a treadmill, and then they just come crashing, and then they come and look for someone like me to just give them a little bit of me time, a little bit of help, a little bit of love, a little bit of anything really, just to kind of try and take back what they used to feel like. And it's a massive part of what I do, and likewise for you. And so it's people like you and I and all the other workers like that are trying to help people, you know, get some sort of, whether it's TLC, a little bit of me time, a little bit of like just breathe time, a little bit of pause in life. It's just so prevalent at the minute. That's the only way I can. But yeah, and you'll see it as well. So we're definitely needed, aren't we?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think, you know, and it's not, like you say, it's not any particular industry. You know, I've done talks with the legal sector, accountancy, marketing, you name it, you will put it up there. And normally when I go and do talks or workshops, I'll talk about the 12 stages of burnout. And I'll say it's creepy in that it sneaks underneath, because it happens very incrementally, very slowly. And you don't really know that it's happening, because we normalize being that level of stress, because you look around you and you're like, well, everybody else is doing it. So, you know, and I think it's, to your point also, you know, when I'm talking about like mastering your energy levels, depending on what you've got in your life, what you're going through, you know, who's depending on you, that hugely affects the capacity and tolerance you have for an amount of stress. And I just think that most people are addicted to being stimulated and this pressure to always be on all of the time.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, because I think I've got a bit of that. Like, I'm always wanting to be busy, and no matter how busy I am, I want another project. Like I was just saying to Angela before, I was like, I need to do something. I've been putting it off for weeks and weeks, and I'm like, I'll do it tonight. And it's just like, tonight I probably should just maybe go in the bath and relax, have a glass of wine. But no, I'm going to probably sit in front of the computer and like get a few bits done while I can. And it's like, I do have this like drive, and I don't know what it is or where it comes from. I don't know if it's something that is from just personality, or whether it's something environmentally or what. But like, Have you noticed that? Do you think it's something that's more of a personality trait, or is it just a kind of a product of our time at the moment?
No, I think it's an important thing you raise, Hayley. I think there's some of us that are wired to just want to be busy. I definitely, so part of the coaching I do is for access to work. So people here, either employed or self-employed, can obviously get some funding if you're neurodiverse. So I coach a lot of people with ADHD or autism or, combined. And sometimes some of us are wired to just always be on.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a spectrum. There are people who are not so driven and do a little bit more sedentary work. And then there are other people that love to spin lots of plates. I think, and those people might look at them and go, oh, well, you're a workaholic. And it's like, well, hold on. Let's look at that, because everybody's unique. And I think it's important to meet people where they're at, to check in and go, right, what's driving that? Because if it's passion and love and you want to do it and you get fuel from it, have at it. But if you're doing it that you have to, and you're not enjoying it and it's a slog and it's not filling you up, then yes, we need to question that. So yeah, there's a huge gambit, I would say, of understanding what is driving you, like what's underneath that drive, I would say.
What would you, because I think I'm going down a bit of a personal angle here, but I think it probably does apply to a lot of people, is that I haven't been formally diagnosed, but I've been told by quite a few people that I've probably got ADHD because of a lot of I've got a lot of the traits. But so mentally, I am fully wired. I want to be active. I want to be doing stuff. Got lots of plates spinning. But actually, I've got fibromyalgia as well. So my body, physically, I'm not necessarily able to do everything that I've got. Like, do you see that a lot? And like, what advice would you give people that are physically not able to necessarily keep up with their mental side? Like, I think, because I'm very aware, again, we've mentioned COVID a couple of times here. I got fibromyalgia from having COVID, and I read lots about the conditions of long COVID, ME, CFS, things like that. And those are becoming a lot more prevalent as well. So we're in this moment in time, I think, where ADHD is very high, but physical conditions where your energy isn't necessarily what you need it to be are very high. Like, how do you manage that clash, really, that where you're mentally switched on and you're ready to go and you want to be doing stuff, but your body necessarily won't let you?
Yeah, no, I think it's a really, really important question you raise, and thank you for raising it, because one of the reasons I added breathwork into the practice is the mind-body connection, because as long as I grew up, it was like, well, no, this bit of kit is where it's at, this is not related to this, not really, and a lot of our suffering happens up here when we overthink and overanalyze, and we can get stuck in here, and then we forget this connection of this bit of kit, your body. And it's interesting, I agree. I think we're either talking about it more or it's more happening, one of the two, in the same way that we're talking about burnout and mental health. I think it's more, thank God, being open, so we actually, don't hide it any longer, that we say, look, we're human and it happens. But I think when you look at kind of stress management and energy management, what I tend to help people look at is that mind-body connection, because your central nervous system drives everything. So how the top of your brainstem is attached to the rest of your body through the vagus nerve, and I'm presuming, Angela, that this is your domain as well. So that vagus nerve is the wandering nerve in your body that runs from your brainstem all the way through all of your vital organs and your tissues. And a while ago, when I was researching a lot of this stuff, so polyvagal theory, about how we regulate ourselves from a central nervous system perspective, which have a huge impact on our mental health and our physical health and emotional. When you think about it, and actually the research shows that the body sends 80% of information to the brain, whereas the brain only sends 20% of information to the body. That blew my mind when I learned that. I was like, really? So why is that important? Well, okay, so often when we think of therapy, CBT, anything mental health related, we think from the top down, i.e. it's talking therapy, it's, let's hash it out, let's write it down, it's journal, da, 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 da. That's got its place. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but the bigger component here is the body, is the body work, is can you toggle between being stimulated and activated and, creative and buzzy and busy, to actually give yourself permission to regulate and to slow down and to be comfortable enough to slow down. Because a lot of people I meet, and specifically, in God, there's a ton of nuances when it comes to neurodiverse, kind of symptoms, and, people obviously have different symptoms going through. But generally speaking, even those that are neurotypical, I speak to a lot of people who are so driven and they're conditioned almost to be that way because they've been that way a long time. They can't relax. Or they find it very, very difficult to just sit with themselves and not have something in their hands stimulating, So you've got to ask the question, okay, let's dig into that a little bit deeper again to understand what's driving that. Because if it is just your central nervous system being so tightly wound up, like a coiled spring, there are things you can do just to, give yourself a little bit of space and do some regulation work. And breath is one of the quickest ways of doing it, that you can learn to kind of, get that tightly wound spring and just kind of give it some space, because essentially what we're trying to get to is to be more agile, to not be stuck in stimulation or to not be stuck in, freeze or fawn, but to be able to move within both states.
It's like one of the questions that I always ask as well is how do you sleep and do you wake up? And a lot of the people say, yeah, I wake up and it's usually about 3 a.m. I say, I know exactly why, and it's cortisol levels. So if your cortisol levels are fight or flight and it's through the roof, you'll not sleep, you'll wake up because your body's in flight mode. And usually you find that those are really stressful people. And then, to kind of calm that cortisol level down, help with the vagus. And then if there's any dis-ease in the body, it's because the systems aren't working and they're not at ease. So you get dis-ease. Yeah. So yeah, it all goes hand in hand, really.
Definitely does. Yeah. And for the longest time, it was all mindset over body work. And I think that's why we're seeing more people going sound baths and massage and things that are more, and breathwork. Breathwork is having its moment. I think there's lots of people who are discovering more new things about it. And I think the reason why I particularly love breathwork is it's so quick. A lot of the time when I go into corporate, I will teach the ABC of breath. So rather than, and don't get me wrong, I love a coffee in the morning, I do. But I don't need it as much because I will do an activating breath practice in the morning where I'm maximizing the natural cortisol that's in your body to actually give a pep in your step. To, if you're feeling a bit foggy, maybe you haven't slept very well, there's a breath practice that you can do. Well, there's tons of different ones, but that activate your system and get you moving and more awake and kind of switched on.
Do you want to give us a little example of anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's, the main one that I teach is circular breathing. So where you don't hold it at the top or the bottom of the breath. So you're breathing in expansively. So I always say, imagine you've got a beach ball underneath your rib cage that you're breathing out, so a lot of the time we'll breathe up in the chest. And so it's soft breath, but expansive. So you should be able to feel your ribs open up, and that's moving your diaphragm that kind of sits underneath. So that's just basically, and it doesn't have to be strong breaths. It can just be and we can do it through the nose, through the mouth. So real activation, if you want to get there, conscious connected breathing can be through the mouth to get that activation and to just get that energy going, that cortisol. But equally, if you want to breathe through the nose, and certainly from an activation, so the A is for activation, that's a circle. The B is for balance. So I often, it'll hit probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I'll feel a bit overwhelmed because I'm like, I haven't got everything done that I've needed to yet, and the day is moving. You know that feeling. And you know, or you're buried in emails, or you know, you're feeling, you know, just like there's just one too many things going on. The B is for balance, and that is using something like a box breath. So that's breathing in for 4 counts, holding at the top of the breath for 4, and then breathing out for 4, and then holding at the bottom for 4. So when you first learn how to do that, it feels really odd. It feels really strange because we're not used to holding our breath in that measured way. But it famously like came into the, you know, main kind of, I suppose, you know, YouTube channels talking about it, lots of social media, because they were saying that Navy SEALs, before they go into a high octane situation, use box breathing to just bring and like kind of come back home to themselves. So I like to think, this is what I talk about, that your home, you know, like when you were a kid, you used to draw a box with a little chimney. That's box breath is coming back home to yourself. So you're actually telling the vagus nerve, your body, that it's safe and that you can come back home and be center. So you're kind of trying to get into homeostasis.
And how long do you do that box breathing for? Is it just until you feel calm, or do you do it?
I mean, generally speaking, I'll say if people are just starting off, do a few rounds. This is the other thing about it. I'm all for micro habits, because I don't know about you, but sometimes when you talk about well-being, people got to go, oh, I've got to do what you're giving me another to do, like on top of everything else I've got to do. You know, and I don't want it to feel like that. That's why we carry this bit of kit. You know, your diaphragm, your lungs, your nose, your mouth. It's free. We've got access to it, yet we forget it's there because nobody teaches us how to use it. So what I love about it is that you can go from this activation breathing, so this circular breathing where we're going to amp ourselves up, and it might be a couple of minutes. You start a couple of minutes, and then you can play with it, and you can find your, you know, some people will only have a couple of minutes. Other people might want to do a lengthier practice. That's the beauty of it. Find what works. But the C of the ABC is a triangle. And the triangle breath is in for 4, hold for 6, and then out for 7. And that you can alter that because, again, you know, you can see that if we're not used to holding our breath, it can incite a little bit of like, oh, I'm not comfortable. So we might start off with really low number counts.
No, holding for 6, I'd probably pass out.
Well, but you can train.
I'm doing it.
I know, but you can train your system to be with the discomfort. But what it does, and what I tend to do, so if I have trouble, you know, if I've had a lot going on in the day, I will combine that breath, so more that kind of 4, 7, 8, you know, again, build it how you want it, but I'll combine it with something like a yoga nidra, which is just a body scan. So I'll just focus on the top of my head, and I'll just imagine through the breath that I'm just moving down through, and it's just to help me get out of busy thoughts, my monkey mind, or my stinking thinking, depending what it's doing in my day, and then just come back into your body, because what you're doing is when you're in your mind, you're either, you know, focusing on a past annoyance or regret, or you're being anxious about something that hasn't happened yet. So you're not living here, you're living in the past, or you're living in the future. So the breath is just a brilliant, fast, cheap, free anchor to just be here now. It's great.
Yeah, it's
And
very
being northerners, we'll have a cheap
Well, we love a
option, don't we?
bargain, don't we? Exactly.
It's just about being mindful, isn't it, really, when you think about it? But lots of people just don't do that because it's like we're saying that they're just on the treadmill and got to keep going, got to keep going.
Well, it's not having time, or we tell ourselves we don't have time, but generally it's lack of priority. And sometimes the priority, you can't tell me you have not got 5 minutes to breathe.
Like literally.
Yeah.
But a lot of people go, well, no, because I'm needed over there. I'm needed. I'm like, well, again, you can't pour for an empty cup. So,
Yeah.
you know, and it's a key part of regulation. And if the more detached we are from our mind to our body, the more dysregulated we're probably going to be.
Do you think it's a generational thing, Christina?
Yes and no. I mean, you know, when I moved back just before COVID, so I moved back, I was living in America at the time, and I was hell-bent on staying in America. I was living in Arkansas. I was being treated like someone from Downton Abbey, like, I was hamming up a British accent to get deals and whatnot everywhere, because wherever I went, they were like, oh my God, is that an accent?
English lady.
Yeah, which I just loved. I was like, well, you do know you've got an accent. But I absolutely loved it out there. Really, I travelled out in the States and I had such a good time. But my end of my contract coincided with my dad getting prostate cancer, and he, bless him, was scared. And so he was 40 when I was born, so an older parent. And when I came back, I mean, they say don't coach your family. I mean, I ignored that advice because I could see how scared he was. And he needed to acknowledge that, because his old school thing was just, lock my fears away in a cupboard and just push it down and just not feel it, right? That was his, and that back there, I think that generation, that's what you did, because you just cracked on. Stick up the lip, pulled up by the bootstraps. We're grafters in the Northeast. We're grafters. That's where we've come from, shipbuilding, etc. Problem is, we know that that's what causes dis-ease, because so when I talk about emotions, they're energy in motion, and if you're not letting them move through you, then they're going to stagnate. And when you think of water, moving, babbling brook, it's alive, it's effervescent, it's life force energy, versus a stinky bog that doesn't move. And so what are you creating in your system? Are you a stinky bog, or are you a babbling brook?
Stinky bog at the moment. But
we need to just be aware of what we're doing. And when we think of emotions, my dad was very good about locking it down. So I would encourage him to express it. If he was feeling scared, then let's speak to that. Name it to tame it. Don't just act like everything's fine when it's not. So I think that generation, I think they learned to suppress it, but kind of for good reason. But I think now, I suppose, like, if I can say, our age group are more, it's more talked about, it's more open, people are more willing to go there and talk about it, which is great. But I think, look at kind of Gen Z and kind of that age group and the digital generation. I think there's loads of pluses to that, but I do worry, and then back to COVID, how much screen time we're all living with. I think in order to self-regulate and to co-regulate, we're tribal. Like, we need to be held and touched and be in a physical connection space with other people to be able to regulate. And it concerns me that certainly the younger generation, and I see it, I mean, I've got a couple of nieces, and the amount of screen time is I mean, theirs is quite measured, but I compare it to when I was a kid, slightly different, but not as that screen time.
I know for my daughter, she doesn't like seeing her school pals out and about on a different, like, sort of environment other than school. She'll talk to them on the phone, she'll screen time, but she hates seeing them out and about. She'll run a mile. You're like,
Right.
what's wrong with you? Just go and talk to her. No, ma'am, she's not at school. I can't do that. It's like, yeah, you can. It's conversation.
Yeah, they do seem to have this kind of phobia of just connection, don't they? It's like, it's quite concerning. That's why, like, I'm always trying to get, because I've got 3 girls, and one's 13, one's 11, and I've got a young baby as well. But just watching them trying to engage and interact with people, it's like I'm trying to force them out the house. Come on, let's get out, let's get around amongst people, let's go and do stuff. I'm interested to see how that goes. I think I mean, there's differences with every generation, isn't there? So I'll be interested to see how this plays out. But like you said, I think we've went from our parents' generation to our generation being a lot more open and willing to discuss things and talk things. So I just hope that stays, which I think it will. Like, I try to have very open and honest conversations with my children, and just hopefully that will play a big part in it, because I think we find things difficult. I think they're going to find things a lot more difficult, because there does seem to be the stuff that we're contending with, like a lot more things to think about, being switched on all the time. But they seem to have this big, like Angela mentioned, like this big social thing. They just don't like leaving the house. They don't like interacting with people. They don't want to go and get jobs that involve talking to people. And it's like, I'm very interested how that'll go. But yeah, it's you can never guess
Well,
too.
no, and I think there's pros and cons, right? And we are highly adaptable human beings. My concern is, and it's funny, I was speaking to a teacher actually who was saying that throughout her years of teaching, she's been teaching for about 30 years, she was saying that actually the younger generation even can't, or some of them have trouble picking up on facial recognition. So we know if we were at school, if we were chatting in the back of the classroom, we would get that look like, shh, and we would be able to pick up and recognize, like, teacher's not very happy, like, oh. This lady had basically described that there was just no recognition of, you know, somebody not being pleased. And I think when you look at, you know, the fact that there was a lot less screen time and there was more face-to-face, you learn, obviously, how to read facial expression. And I've had it said equally, you know, people who are employing the younger generation, there's a phobia of not picking up the phone, and there's a phobia of not being able to speak face-to-face. And it's like, not everything can be done via the screen. And I do think, in my personal opinion, I might be wrong, but think levels of anxiety are generally higher because we're not co-regulating. We're not meant to isolate.
It does make sense, especially given COVID and stuff like that. I mean, we're people from the northeast, we're a canny bunch, and you just think we love chatting, and it's like, you know, when you go down the street, it's like you go, hi, dear neighbour, or, you know, you say hello and stuff like that. There's hardly any of that now. We don't like chat to people across the fence anymore, or how are you doing, such and such, you know, or can you keep an eye in your house when I'm away on holiday, or
absolutely
stuff like that. Just there's none of that now.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to get it back. I mean, so I started a bit of a passion project about a year and a half ago. So I'm part of the NatWest Business Accelerator that's in Newcastle, and I did that because I needed connection. I felt, you know, being an entrepreneur, you can feel really isolated, you know, if you're not surrounded by another community of other people who get it. A lot of people just don't get it. And so on that journey, I met another lovely lady, shout out to Lauren, who's a photographer, brand strategist. We got talking about networking events and things, and we started saying, oh, I think, you know, I love these ones. I'm not so much a fan of these ones. And we ended up just kind of, you know, I suppose batting ideas off of each other. And we're kind of like, oh, do you know what would be really cool? And we just started to say, like, it'd be really cool just to go to one where you get a personal welcome when you come in the door. It's really friendly. It's not, you know, contrived or feel like you can't show up as you. You can dress how you want. You can, you know, it's just really relaxed. But you get to like meet people, but it's not all dead business cardy. It's like you have actually deeper conversations and a real community sense. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? So we just thought, well, shall we just start one? So a year later, we celebrated our first birthday last March, and we've recently set up as a limited company now, because otherwise it was just getting too messy, just not kind of trying to operate it from two different businesses. So more recently, yeah, it's Alara Community and Events, and it's all focused around generally women, you know.
Just realised I follow you on Instagram.
Oh, marvellous. Yeah, so we started off as Together We Rise Up, and then we came across a bit of a trademarking potential issue. So we had to evolve into Alara, which was actually kind of perfect, because Alara was born. We went back to the community to get feedback. How do you feel when you're in the community? How do you feel at the events? And all of the feedback was just really lovely. And we put it in a kind of melting pot of ideas. And what came out was, it's like in your element. People kept saying, oh, it's like my energy booster for the month, that I get to like come and talk and feel like I belong, like people get me, and I don't have to put on an act. I can just show up as me. And so Alara is like a Greek goddess, basically, and she stands for vulnerability, but also strength and resilience. It was kind of a perfect, and we just loved the sound of it. And so we just thought, right, yeah, we'll take that one. So yeah, then that's gone on to create, it's evolving, but really organically, and it complements both of what we are about. So we're very values led, and it's all about raising each other up, collaboration over competition, connection, sense of belonging. So yeah.
All the stuff we love, Angela.
Is it set in like, not put my teeth in, is it like one space all the time, or does it change like sort of venues?
No, it's a great question. So we do an event every month. So it's at the Lumen in the Helix site. So the Lumen's just kind of on the roadside opposite the 360 bar, just up from the Discovery Museum. So we're on the 4th floor, so it's a beautiful view of the Sage. I'm still calling it the Sage, the Glass House.
Is it not called the Sage anymore?
No, the Glass House.
I know.
I mean, the Glass
House. I am so out of touch. That is terrible.
Don't worry, that's why I keep calling it the Sage, and I keep having to correct myself. Yeah, so the last Friday of every month, 9:30 till 11:30. But generally, what we tend to do is Lauren and I will put on, a different theme, or we'll get kind of speakers in. But the idea is that you've got some mingle time, you've got some nice breakfast, good coffee, but we always try to do a middle bit that actually you're learning something and you take an action on something, and then you're collaborating in some way, shape or form, and then with a little bit more mingle, and then off you pop for the rest of your Friday. But it's kind of grown into, so we do have an online component for people who want to, pay into kind of getting some group coaching and have a little bit more of a touch point more regularly. And we're just about, actually this Friday is going to be our first day retreat in the farmhouse in the South Cosy Inn in County Durham. So we're having a day.
Oh yeah. I've been there. I've not been there in years. I went to a wedding there. It's so lovely. I like.
Yeah. So that's our Root to Rise retreat. So that's for women, just to reset and just refuel, recalibrate before the madness of the rest of the year.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, we all need that. We all need that. So we're touching a bit on the northeast. I want to ask you, so you mentioned you've lived in other places. Whereabouts in Yorkshire did you live for a start?
Huddersfield.
Oh, not far from where I am. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I live in between. So I moved about 10 years ago for my sins, and I'm in between Leeds, Huddersfield, Bradford. Like I live around that area. Yeah. So I live near Cleckheaton, if you know.
Yeah, no, Cleckheaton. Yeah.
So that's where I am. Because you've lived in different locations, even across the pond as well. Like, what do you think makes the northeast special? Like you mentioned that umbilical cord that pulled you back. What was that? Like, what is it that pulled you away from all those other locations where you could have stayed, you could have lived there? What pulled you back, and what makes the northeast home, and what makes it special?
Great question. So it was family that pulled me back. I'm very lucky that both of my parents were beautiful individuals. We were brought up like very, very well. We were very well looked after, because obviously, as we know, as you grow up, you realize that actually what you had, a lot of people other people did not have.
Mm.
So yeah, we were very, very lucky to have the parents that we did. And so yeah, so family actually absolutely brought me back. But do you know what? It's the people. You cannot whack the people. And it's funny. So my sister lives in New Zealand, so she emigrated.
Oh, wow. Just as far as she possibly could be.
Yeah, literally as far as you possibly can go. 30 hours door to door. So you know so that 2010 year that I spoke about, bless, that'll go down in history as catastrophic. That was the year that my sister emigrated. But that was also the year that my mum at the time was diagnosed with brain cancer. And so the umbilical cord snapped her back from New Zealand. And well, at the time I was living in Huddersfield. So I was up and down the A1. And you do, because that is just what you do. And my sister, whenever she comes back, her heart is here. Like, she loves New Zealand, but her heart's here. And so it's actually quite nice. She came to visit me. So I've been out there over the summer, but she came to visit me last year. And she just actually what you were saying, Angela, about like talking over the fence and that kind of thing. She got chatting to a couple of people on the metro and she was just like, hey, do you know what? Like, I just missed that. And it was just, yeah. So it's just the people. The canny folk. Exactly. It's just, there's nowhere quite like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Like when I come back, it's like I always say to Pete, because when we first moved down here, like I think I must just be turning more Yorkshire, but I remember when we first moved down, and I said to Pete, I was like, God, everyone's a bit miserable down here. I love Yorkshire, by the way. I'm sorry, I don't know why anyone from Yorkshire will be listening to Geordie Pride, but if you are, I love it. But that was my first response. I was like, like no one like speaks to you. Like we've got dogs, walking the dogs, like people just would not really say hello. And then like when we came home, it was so noticeable. Like I'd be walking the dog and everyone would be like, morning, you're right. And you've never even seen them before in your life. And they're asking you how you are and ask you about your dog and everything. And then like the more I come, like as I say, I've been down here 10 years now. And every time I go back home, it's like I get more of a fright every time people speak to us. I'm like, oh. I'm like, what are they looking at us for? Like, what's happening? But it's so normal. We're just so welcoming, and I don't know what the word is to just encompass it, but we're just very personable people that'll just open my door and my arms to anyone. And I think that's hard to beat. It really is. And I've not. Like, I've been lucky enough to, like, I've not lived anywhere else other than Yorkshire, but I've travelled a lot and I've not known anywhere like it. It's just, we're very special, I think.
Plus, we've got cracking scenery. We've got everything that you possibly need here.
True. Just on that front, actually, I think when I did move back, it's funny, when you grow up next to the sea, totally take it for granted. I mean, granted, it's not the Riviera, weather-wise. But it's still beautiful. And I started sea swimming, I think it was like right at the beginning of COVID. And yeah, I mean, I call it now my vitamin C dip. And so
regulation, isn't it, of the body?
Yeah. I actually think it's medicinal.
Oh yeah.
There is nowhere quite like being in the water at sunrise.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Like a lot of people do those cold dips in the pools and stuff, don't they? Like I forget what you call them. There are other brands available. But yeah, like you say, living next to the sea, like my stepmom, is that the right term? I always say my mum's partner, because my dad's partner. I never call her my stepmom, you see. But she likes going to do that. She doesn't do it very often. She's in her 70s and she does it when she can. But that's something that I do miss. Like, as soon as we go home, the girls are like, "Can we go to the beach? Can we go to the beach?" And my sister we went to my sister's wedding. She got married at Ridge Bay, and it was just so nice. And it's like, when I was little, I didn't really give a toss. I think it just was like just one of those things. It was just normal. Whereas now I'm like, why on earth? Like, it was just amazing. And the girls just love going every time we go home. We've got to take the dogs, we've got to take the girls, and we just get down on the sand and just roll around in it.
Yeah, well, the other thing they talk about is grounding. So you know how like you ground. So I'm huge for like, just take the shoes off and I'm on the sand for sure.
Yeah. Sand and sea. There's nothing quite like it. It's the negative ions. It gives you a good little boost.
See, listen to you two. Wow.
Yes, everybody needs to we need to have grounding.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the funny thing, talking about networking, that it's exploded. Netwalking. There's tons of networking to do.
Yeah.
You go and you walk and talk, and it's great. So good. Yeah. But we need to do an Alara walk and talk on the beach, I think. That's what we need to do.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That would be lush.
Do you suffer from aches, pains, chronic conditions such as headaches, migraines, MS, ME, fibromyalgia, or even menopause? Or perhaps you're feeling anxious, fatigued, and stressed? Or just want a little bit of me time? Then why not book a massage, reflexology, Indian head, or even an aromatherapy massage? Get some quality me time back. Book now via DM or Instagram and follow my page at Angela's Massage Therapy. And if you mention Geordie Pride podcast when booking, you receive a 10% discount on your first visit. Hope to see you soon.
Right. Should we go on to our quickfire questions, Angela?
Yeah. Who's going to go first?
I'm ready.
Go on, I will, because I think you did last time.
Go on then.
So let me pick one. First one, what's your favourite hidden gem in the northeast, somewhere people should know about?
Oh, I think I'm just going to go straight to the coast just because we've been talking about it. I've got a Zen. Part of me doesn't want to tell anyone because it's my Zen bench. I'll tell you. So it's actually in Tynemouth. So on the other side of Long Sands, if you walk down towards where the old swimming pool used to be, that's obviously derelict, that we're trying to get reconditioned, there's a bench, a lonely bench that just looks out onto Long Sands, and that is my Zen bench.
That sounds
that's just to watch the world go by and the sea and the surfers, and very special.
That sounds nice. I'm going to have to check that out when I go to Crusoe's. Next one. Who would you most like to listen to on the show? A perfect Geordie Pride guest.
Oh, you've had so many.
No. With someone on deck, though, that would be lush.
Yes. Oh my God. Well, there you go. Ant and deck, definitely. It's funny.
I've got a wish list.
You've got. Oh yeah, exactly. Oh God, I think it's funny. So my sister used to go to school with Lindy Ann Barris, who was Spuggy from.
Yes.
God,
from, Biker Grove, yes.
Biker Grove. And actually, I sent my sister recently because there was a clip where Ant and Dec mentioned Spuggy, and so I sent it to my sister going, so there you go, Lindy Ann Barris. Where are you now, Lindy Ann? Where are you now?
I think because we've had Holly Matthews on, who was in Biker Grove, and she's friends with, I forget the name of the guy who used to play, but Andrew Hayden Smith. He was one of the main characters, and he's got a podcast and a YouTube show where he's interviewing all the old castmates of Biker Grove, and she was on it. So it's called Back to Biker. So if you just put that into YouTube, you'll find her episode, and you'll have to send it to her. Yeah. Oh, it's me again, isn't it?
Go on, Haley.
Just sitting here with a big grin on my face. Right. Okay. You might have already answered this, but let's see if you've got something else. The number one thing you love about living in the Northeast?
Do you know? Well, I'm gonna do a hybrid answer because I have kind of spoke to this, but I think I love the fact that not far away from Northumberland, where we can go walking and hiking and just beautiful spaces up there. You've got the coast, you've got cities. I mean, there's not much you kind of haven't got, honestly. And so that plus the people. I mean, we're pretty lucky. We're pretty lucky. So yeah,
we really are. Yeah,
definitely. Oh, this one. This is a really hard question, mine, Christina.
Right, brace yourself.
What is your go-to Greg's order?
That's a tricky one. Depending on the day, or depending on, like, you know, I mean, when I was at school, it was cheese and onion pasty, like every time, cheese and onion. But I think I might have to, like, I think it's just your plain kind of Cornish pasty now I'd go for. Like, you know, I think the cheese might have been a younger option. But yeah, I used to love a cheese and onion pasty, but yeah, it'll be more, yeah, kind of old school classic nowadays.
What about sweet treat? What would you go for if you wanted a sweet treat?
Well, so my dad used to be a baker. And so,
that's
like,
dangerous.
we should have been the sizes of houses as children, but we must have always been out playing. So, you know, we managed not to be. So yeah, like a custard slice or something like that. Yeah, like gooey and yeah, custard slice.
Yummy. No. Angela's not had her tea. Stop it.
I'm making me hungry now. I'm like, I could just have that now. That'd be nice.
Right, and the last one, I'm going to change it up. What is your favourite local dish?
Oh, local dish. Do you know, when my sister was over visiting, I took her to Hinnie's in Whitley Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've been.
I don't think I've been.
Hinnie's so it's a restaurant, and it's like on the front, on the coast side, so where you've got a row of, like, I think there's a fish and chip shop on the corner, and then further up. But obviously, I love the fact it's called Hinnie's because it's Geordie comfort food.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'd been for a sea swim this particular day, and so I was feeling all a bit like, I need warming up. And I think they did like a chowder, but like with proper crusty bread, and just the fact that it was like Hinnie's, it just felt like a real treat. So yeah, shout out to Hinnie's that does the proper Geordie comfort food. That's me.
You stomach rumbling now.
I know, sorry.
I know. I'm like, I wonder if Hinnie's is still open. I'm just pop along.
We'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
I realised when I asked it, I was like, I'm asking about food again. Sorry.
I can smell cooking. I think Dave's cooking.
Well, there you go.
I can smell it.
If I had Pete cooking for us, I'd end up with like fish fingers and beans or something. Like.
Oh no, he's cooking a curry.
Oh,
you've got a good.
Oh, good. I've got him trained well.
Very good. Very good. Well done. Nice.
So, Christina, you've mentioned a couple of events and such, but if anyone wants to follow you online or get in touch with you, where's the best place for them to find you?
Absolutely. So I hang out in a few places. So my website is authenticactioncoaching.com, bit of a long one. So there's some resources on there and information. And if you want to look more into your energy levels, that's all of the things related to that. I'm on LinkedIn, good old LinkedIn, Christina Lord on LinkedIn, also Authentic Action Coach on Instagram. Not really frequenting Facebook as often, but I am on there. But just not on there as often. I started a YouTube channel. Nothing much is happening. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I did start a podcast a while ago, and then I realized I was trying to do all of the things. So yes, Authentic Action Coaching on my YouTube channel. So I have got some really great conversations with people, you know, about different energy level things and that kind of thing. So that's on there. But yeah, generally speaking, Instagram and LinkedIn are my two main haunts of where I kind of post my things, talk about stuff.
And I'll add all of the links in the show notes as well, so we could pop all that in, and we'll pop in the Alara community as well.
Yes,
if people
that would be great. Last Friday of every month, and come and find us and have a visit. So the next time you're in the Northeast, Ellie, you're gonna have to come up with Angela and check it out, and then we'll go for a sea swim afterwards.
Oh yeah, roll around in the sand. We'll go to Hinnie's. Got a day planned.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for chatting, Christina.
you.
We've really enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you for sharing everything. And everyone check out the show notes and go to all of Christina's links and pop along and say hi to her as well.
Please do.
Lovely. Thanks so much, Christina.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support Geordie Pride further, then don't forget to subscribe, share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram @Geordie Pride. Until next time, keep that Geordie Pride shining bright.